Hello, I'm Orhan Gaybov. You're watching English news program on Azərbaycan Televiziya. On May 23rd, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, received a delegation of participants of the second meeting of the Ministers of Internal Affairs of the Organization of Turkic States. The delegation included Yerjan Sadenov, Minister of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Ulan Niyazbekov, Minister of Internal Affairs of the Kyrgyz Republic, Ali Yerlikaya, Minister of Interior of the Republic of Turkey, Aziz Tashpolatov, Minister of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Tursun Oğuz, Minister of Internal Affairs of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Benjer Etvari, Deputy Minister of Interior of Hungary, and Kubanichbek Omraliyev, Secretary General of the Organization of Turkic States.
Addressing the meeting, President Ilham Aliyev noted that the second meeting of the Ministers of Internal Affairs of the Organization of Turkic States was underway in Azerbaijan. Expressing his confidence that such meetings will continue in the future, the head of state added that informal summit of the Organization of Turkic States had been held in Hungary 2 days ago. Noting that the initiative to hold such events and meetings came from the Azerbaijani side, and the first informal summit took place last year in Azerbaijan in Karabakh, in the city of Shusha, President Ilham Aliyev pointed out that the heads of state and government decided that such informal meetings should be held regularly. Our official summit meetings take place annually. However, we consider that meeting only once a year in this format is insufficient. I must state that this year the official summit will be held in Azerbaijan. Serious preparations are underway for this meeting, and I am confident that important decisions will be made during the summit, said the head of state. Noting that they are not only friends, strategic partners and allies, most importantly they are brotherly nations, and this principle lies at the core of the organization, the head of state added that in the coming years the organization can rise to even greater heights. Underlining all the necessary conditions are in place for this, and a positive dynamic of development is being observed in the countries, internal stability is ensured in the member states, the head of state went on to say that they cover a vast geographical area, outlining that some member countries of the organization possess rich natural resources and the joint transport projects connect the countries and even extend across a larger geography. President Ilham Aliyev stressed that the transport corridors passing through our countries link Europe with Asia and accentuated the immense potential in the economic sphere. Touching on the population growth, the head of state said that in the case of Azerbaijan, when it restored the state independence in 1991, the population was approximately 7 million, now it exceeded 10 million. A similar trend is observed in all member countries. Noting that their populations are young, dynamic, and deeply connected to the historical roots, and because of that, within the framework of the organization, along with issues of economy, transport, and energy, they should also extensively discuss their joint common roots and shared history. The head of state added that throughout history, there have been different periods. For reasons beyond our control, we were once separated from one another. However, the will of the member states and their peoples brought us together again. Of course, the historic Nakhchivan summit holds a special place in the formation and development of the organization. We are very delighted that this historic decision was made precisely in Nakhchivan, an ancient city of Azerbaijan, said President Ilham Aliyev. Dwelling on the joint activities of the internal affairs bodies, the head of state said that there was certainly a great need for cooperation. Even though there was internal stability in the countries, there were threats, there were challenges, there were and would be attempts of external interference. No one is immune from this. Therefore, safeguarding public order, the main task of the internal affairs bodies, is an important factor in ensuring internal stability in each of our countries. The coming together of the internal affairs bodies of the member states, the regular holding of meetings, and the exchange of views, experience, and information, all of this carries great importance, underlined the head of state. Taking the floor, Secretary General of the Organization of Turkic States, Kubanichbek Omraliyev, thanked President Ilham Aliyev for hosting them, noting that this was the second meeting of the interior ministers and last year the first meeting was held in Kyrgyzstan. Kubanichbek Omraliyev went on to say that the STEM ministers do not simply hold meetings as was pointed out, they focus heavily on the content. A communiqué has also been prepared today. Following this meeting, further sessions will be held where a communiqué outlining the main areas of cooperation among the ministers of internal affairs will be adopted. These areas include the fight against banditry, terrorism, crime, and all other issues under the minister's leadership, said the Secretary General. 2 days ago, our informal summit, which you originally initiated, was held, and despite its name, it was quite formal in terms of content. The work of our law enforcement agencies was also discussed there. As you mentioned, last year, for the first time, a meeting of our higher judicial authorities took place in Shusha. Recently, 2 weeks ago, the presidents of the Supreme Courts met again in Antalya and adopted their charter, specifying their directions of activity. Platforms for prosecutors generals and notary bodies have already been created, and the justice ministers met in Astana last year. In summary, the entire law enforcement sector had begun a process of institutionalization, and the first steps have been taken. You briefly mentioned this in your inaugural speech in Parliament, and we fully support it. Now, as you observed, our organization can become even stronger. We truly are a unique international organization. The Nakhchivan Agreement, adopted 15 years ago, states that it is our historical roots, culture, language, and religion that unite us. Therefore, there is no other organization like ours. Our shared task is to strengthen it through the established platforms, noted Kubanichbek Umaraliyev.
On the occasion of Independence Day, congratulatory letters continue to be sent to President Ilham Aliyev, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, the King of the Belgians, Philippe, the King of the Netherlands, William Alexander, and the President of the Republic of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, have sent congratulatory letters to President Ilham Aliyev. The great return to the liberated territories continues. Yesterday, another caravan of returnees has set off for the village of Kangarli in Agdam. An additional 49 families, a total of 232 people, are being relocated to the village. Those returnees are families who had been temporarily settled in various parts of the country, mainly in dormitories, sanatoriums, and administrative buildings. With this latest group, a total of 109 families, 487 people have been resettled in Kangarli village. The trial of 15 individuals of Armenian descent accused of committing numerous war crimes is ongoing. In yesterday's session, evidence confirming Armenia's occupation policy was presented and video materials were shown. One of the videos, prepared to mark the 20th anniversary of the so-called Shusha Separate Battalion, depicted how Azerbaijani territories were occupied and highlighted the activities of the Dashnak party during the battles. It was stated that more than 210 Dashnaks and volunteers from the United States, Canada, Syria, Armenia, and Karabakh gathered on November 5, 1991 to establish this battalion. The battalion participated in the occupation operations of the Khojavand, Askeran, Shusha, Aghdara, Agdam, Fizuli, Gubadli, Jabrail, Kalbajar, and Zengilan districts. In the video, David Ishkhanyan stated that the battalion was kept separate and deployed for the most difficult operations. David Manukyan also appeared in the footage. During the trial, he admitted to taking part in operations carried out in Aghdara and Kalbajar. The defendant, Lyovam Natakanyan, confirmed that the destruction and looting of cultural, historical, and religious monuments, as well as residential areas in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan, were factual occurrences. For all administrative penalties, if the decision on the administrative penalty is executed within days, 10% of the fine can become exempt from the payment. This issue was included in the Code of Administrative Penalties, which was put for discussion at the Milli Majlis. Currently, this period is 5 days, and the code, which is presently in effect. Following the discussions, the draft law was adopted in the first reading. That was all for the day. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye.